So this is your teacher for this morning. Now she's walking away from you. So I might better take over in that sense. Welcome for your practice today. What we need is the usual, as this is kind of a class before a break, I thought I'll go quite nice to move through the whole body, but not too strenuous. If you have a bolster, please have that ready. I've got a blanket lying here, more or less as a pillow. You might like to have a block. There's really nothing that you do need to have, but maybe would like to. So anything that makes you feel comfortable, basically. As you could see, I'm making my way down to the floor. So for you, please start lying down on your backs. Now, when we lie down, and especially at the beginning of the practice, we're not that familiar usually of how our body is feeling. So unlike in Shavasana, we want to just drop and be there in a sense where we've had time to prepare the body for this. Right now, here, I would say wiggle, move, find some areas in the body that feel really nice to move through and some that feel a little bit more challenging. You could basically just move there on the ground, finding little stretches and motions that inform you of the body, but also might make it easier for you to lie there. You might then choose to close your eyes. Maybe even resting your arms down. And as you rest here, doing nothing in particular, just taking a note of what brought you to the practice today, whether that is directly linked to any expectations you might have, be that towards the class, be that towards yourselves. And talking about the self, the card for our practice today is from an Aboriginal goddess chakra oracle. The card that came up for this practice is called self-love. As you rest and acknowledge how you came to this place on the mat today. Self-love is a difficult emotion to nurture, as it is often confused with ego, which it is not. Ego is used to have power over others, whereas self-love is an internal emotion used only for yourself. Self-love is gentle love, which recognizes the vulnerabilities which our human experience bestows upon us. Self-love accepts who we are without judgment and encourages us to accept our mistakes and to look within to find forgiveness. Self-forgiveness is an art form in itself. These words go well in line with our yogic philosophy. So maybe on the mat today, practicing these aspects, self-love, self-forgiveness, finding potentially in this way a deeper understanding of yourself. So acknowledging that the mind is coming up with constructs and ideas, but that it is up to you to make the decision, maybe in that sense of self-love and care for yourself that nourishes you And with that then, in return, nourishes those around you. You might like to keep yourself lying on the back, but bending your knees. If it feels okay to just leave the feet on the ground, the knees loosely bent, you might do so. If you find that takes quite a bit of effort, you might want to step your feet out a little bit wider and let your knees fall inwards. As you rest there, I suggest to place your hands now onto your lower abdomen. Ideally, leaving your shoulders and elbows quite relaxed. Starting to breathe into your hands on the lower belly and feeling the belly expanding into the hands, and then lightly drawing back and away from the hands as you're breathing out. So for the inhale, breathing into your hands, resting against your lower abdomen, and breathing out as you draw the abdomen lightly back inward. Keep that flowing while you breathe in, the belly is expanding into the hands. And as you breathe out, starting to draw on the lower abdomen and moving it inwards. Repeating that for one more breath. Then allow yourself to breathe naturally for a moment. Always staying in connection with the experience that you notice for yourself. Sliding your hands up now to rest gently against your lower ribs. And the same here, leaving shoulders, elbows easy. While aiming to keep your abdomen still, breathing into the hands so that the ribs are expanding. On the out breath, feeling the ribs contract again. Please notice the belly, the chest might move, but very little as you breathe into the hands on the lower ribs and trying to expand the lower ribs all around. Releasing as you breathe out. Do that a couple more times. Simply breathing into your hands on the lower ribs, trying to keep the rest of the torso as still as possible. Do so one more time, just breathing and expanding your lower rib cage. And then finding your natural way of breathing again. You might now just slide your hands and rest them gently underneath your collarbones. Same here, make conscious effort of keeping elbows and shoulders soft. Breathing into the hands underneath the collarbones and aiming to keep the rest of your torso relatively still. On the out breath, feel the very upper part of the chest relaxing again. A few more breaths just underneath the collarbones. See if you can direct the breath right up there into your higher chest. Releasing again. Repeating for 2 more breaths. And you completed those breaths, resting again. You might allow one hand to rest underneath the collarbones and let the other hand slide back down to the lower abdomen. We'll combine these 3 stages of the breath now. If you prefer one hand to rest against your lower ribs, because that was the area you needed this gentle touch most, please feel free to move your hands accordingly. Let's breathe into the lower belly's hand, the rib cage, and then right up to underneath your collarbones. And breathing out, letting the belly fall, the ribs come in, the upper chest release. Leave your hands resting or moving according with your breath. As you add another few breaths, just moving the breath from belly up to collarbones and out in the same way. If with the hands resting on your body, you can actually fill yourself up and be relaxed nevertheless as you control your breathing. When you completed your next breath in this way, you might then choose to rest your arms, but continue the breath. And if you think your arms resting on the body is better for you, then please keep them there. Allowing just 2 more of those breaths. And when you completed those, no need to rush. Let your breathing rest. Let your hands rest if they're still on the body. Acknowledging self and the type of self-love and care we can apply to ourselves. Simple techniques sometimes, like 3-part or deep phragmatic breathing. Taking this time for self to nourish. I would ask you to just keep your body restful with your knees bent. If your knees have dropped in towards each other, you might separate the knees now. Wiggle your feet to about hip distance apart and settling your back against the floor again. Arms might be similar to a Shavasana pose, just resting a little bit away from the body. Important that your shoulders are grounded onto the floor and relaxed. As you now inhale, rolling your head slowly to one side and breathing out to center it. On the in-breath, rolling the head to the other side. On the out-breath, centering it. So we're testing a little bit our patience, not even lifting the head, just rolling it with each in-breath to one side and each out-breath right back into the center. Not only are we taking a little bit of activity into the neck and starting to loosen up the spine, we're also beginning to engage with the bodily systems. Ask you the next time you're feeling balanced left and right side to bring your head back into the center. To gently place your fingertips upon your shoulders and to start moving the arms, creating circles with the elbows into the air. You would have naturally chosen a particular direction in which you're moving. Again, we're creating awareness as you pause, but then changing the direction of the circles you made and exploring what it feels like when we go into the direction that we don't intuitively choose. Asking you now to relax the arms back in a similar fashion that they were before. Giving your right knee now a squeeze into the chest. Keeping the left foot on the floor today. Just hugging in, squeezing tightly. Noticing how you're feeling around your hips and glutes. Then slightly release the hold on the leg. Let your arms lengthen down by the side and lower your heel down to touch the floor. As you hold your upper body in strength, even using a light mula and uddiyana bandha, so a light root lock, a very light tummy lock. On your next inhalation, slide the heel along the mat and extend the leg out while keeping your upper body quite still. Then point your right foot, and as you breathe out, still stillness in the body, just sliding your foot down onto the mat. Flexing the foot again. As you breathe in, sliding the leg out long on the mat, stillness in your body, pointing the toes. And as you're breathing out, sliding the foot back down. We'll repeat one more time. So flexing the right foot. As you inhale, slide the foot along the mat. Then point this foot. And as you're breathing out, this time bringing the whole knee back into the chest and giving it another good squeeze in. As you're landing your right foot back down onto the ground, take a pause and notice anything between left and right, right and left. You as a whole. And then bringing your left knee into the chest. And again, here we're taking a hold first, hugging the knee in quite tightly, but keeping the right foot grounded. As you hold, noticing in potential tension around your hips, buttocks. Then begin to flex your left foot. While you release your arms down by the sides, the palms touching the ground, gently lower your left heel to the floor. We're applying the same here, a lift up from the pelvic floor area, a light engagement of your tummy. And as you are inhaling, sliding your left leg out long, slowly, keeping control and steadiness in the rest. Pointing the foot, and while you're breathing out, sliding the foot up onto the mat. Flex the foot again on the inhalation, sliding the leg out, keeping your upper body quite still. Then pointing the foot, and as you're exhaling, drawing the foot back onto the mat. We'll do that one more time, flexing the foot on the inhale, extending the leg out. Pointing the foot, and on the out breath, as you bring the foot back towards the mat, take the whole knee in, give it another good squeeze in towards the chest. Landing your foot onto the ground, releasing the arms. Just taking a note again, how does your body feel? We will move the upper body once more. For that, please bring your arms into cactus arms by bending the elbows. While you breathe in, make soft fists with both of your hands. And as you're breathing out, bringing the fists apart, touching the palms and maybe even the forearms over your body. So lower body is still now. As you breathe in, open your arms cactus style, making soft fists. And when breathing out, releasing the fists, slowly touching palms, Anjali Mudra, and maybe the forearms. A light change here if you wish. On the inhale, open cactus arms, soft fists. While releasing the fists and joining the palms of the arms, you might lift your upper body, but in that same pace, nice and slowly. As you breathe in, you might lie back down, cactus arms, gentle fists. And a slow breath out as you might lift and touch. We'll do so for another 3 breaths. So nothing else, just opening up on the inhale. And everything is quite slow motion. This is our last round here. As you lie back again, once more making your soft fists, then releasing your arms. We'll go once more for a slide of the right leg. So please bring your arms back down by the side of the body, flexing the right foot. As you breathe in, lengthening the leg out, maybe just above the ground this time, stillness in the rest of the body. Pointing the foot, and as you breathe out, bringing your knee back, but also hugging the knee in towards the chest, giving it a good squeeze. Release your arms again, flex the foot on the inhale, extending this right leg out, maybe just above the mat, quite still in the rest of your body. Then pointing the toes as you breathe out. While you might bring your knee back into the chest, you also have the option of lifting your nose up towards the knee and just holding here. While you might keep the squeeze, lower your head, slide your left leg out long, opposite hand to the knee, and rolling over into a gentle twist. Now, if it feels better for you, you can also bend your left knee and come into a full lying twist. Ideally, your right shoulder will be on the ground. If it feels right to turn the head, you could, or leaving your gaze upwards. Just pausing here, 2 more breaths. Once you've completed those breaths, bringing head and then legs back into center. We're turning the arms down by the sides, the palms touching the floor, the feet at a comfortable hip distance apart. We'll flex the left foot now, heel on the ground. As you breathe in, you might extend that leg just above the mat or along the floor, and then pointing the foot. And as you breathe out, drawing your left knee back into the chest, giving it a little squeeze in. Arms release back by the side as you inhale, extending the left leg back out ever so slowly, maintaining stability in the rest of the body. Pointing the foot, and as you breathe out, while you might bring your knee back into the chest, you might also lift your nose up towards the knee and hold in a tight squeeze. Releasing your head and shoulders. Option, extending right leg out. Opposite hand to the knee while the left arm falls away from the body, guiding your knee across. And the same applies here if you prefer both knees to be bent. Nothing speaks against that as you let your legs roll to your right. Finding comfort and groundedness through the opposite shoulder. Head might be turned. And a deep, slow breath. As you come back into the center, releasing your feet to the ground, relaxing the arms. You might take a deep breath now and lift your arms up over the head while you squeeze your bottom up into the air. And on the out breath, rolling your spine down and releasing your arms down by the sides. We'll repeat that for 2 as you breathe in, lifting the arms. Hips might lift up for an extended bridge, arms land over the head. And with the out breath, rolling the spine back down and releasing the arms by the sides. 1 more round, breathing in. As you might have landed back on your mat, let your body roll over to the side it likes the most, and gently lifting from there into a seated position. This is my prompt here to remove the socks, just for a little bit of a better control and feeling underneath the soles of the feet. So we'll come onto all fours from here, landing your hands at shoulder distance and landing your knees at hip distance apart. Just like the bridge, we'll work on the movement of our spine. So with the next inhalation, lifting tail and gaze. With the exhalation and deeply rounding into the cat. Let that flow for a few breaths. Nothing else, still a quite linear movement. Rolling through your spine. Back bending usually on the in-breath and rounding into the cat, usually on the out-breath. If you feel this way inclined, you can always experience the opposite way of breathing, but usually we'll do it this way. And there is a feeling that promotes that idea. So when you come next into a more neutral position, start to move the body in a way that feels quite right. And there could be some weird stretches in between, things that just simply feel good for your body. So while these movements are not selfish at all, they are definitely about self-love and care. You would be able to do those movements at any time you come to the mat. Finding yourself in a position that feels good on all four stands. Taking a breath in to let the right leg extend backwards. And a breath out to draw the knee into the chest. We'll do that twice more with the in-breath extending leg and spine, and out breath to curl in. One more. You may choose to step the foot to the front or help it there. You might wiggle the foot once it is on the ground a little bit further forward, reaching a stance where your knee rests over your ankle joint and the foot as well as the back knee are about hip distance apart. Then breathe in and just let your upper body relax. And then breathe out and roll up through the spine as you come into a kneeling lunge. Breathing in to raise the arms up. And as you breathe out, finding cactus arms. So in this position here, as you breathe in, making soft fists. As you breathe out, ground through the feet and open the hands for a twist towards your leg. Breathing in, making soft fists, shoulders relaxed. Breathing out, grounding through the feet and a twist as the hands open up. Let's do that 3 more rounds. Breathing in, soft fists to center. Breathing out to twist. You might start to carefully extend the arms in the twist. And we will hold the last one. You might release your front hand towards the front knee, maybe lifting the palm of the back hand to face upwards. Going deep into the twist as you stretch into your right hand thumb. Your choice, lifting the arm from behind and either staying here and turning the palm in the direction you are looking, or lowering the left hand fingertips to the ground, but basically doing the same. On your next exhalation, swinging the arm down behind you, planting the hand down onto the mat and stepping the foot back. I will place both knees a little bit back and roll the spine forward into a kneeling plank. On the out breath, keeping the elbows close and lowering down onto the front of the body, touching the tops of the feet onto the floor. I encourage you into wide-armed cobra. However, if that's not suitable for you, please find any other back bend that is. Fingers are wider than the mat, like little cups on the ground. Tops of the feet press into the floor as you breathe in. Wave up, wide-armed cobra, just lifting from the heart, keeping the shoulders low, feet actively grounded. Deep breath in. On the exhale, release that back to the mat. Place the hands instead underneath your shoulders now. On the inhale, come up onto all fours, and you might like to tuck your toes under and stretch your hips up and back. Happy pose. Or some of you might lift the knees off the mat and practice a down dog at this point. If you are extending into a down dog, please pedal out through your legs for a moment. Do something similar that you've done on an all four stance, finding a movement that's just right here and now. If you are in the down dog, on your next breath in, please land back on all fours. Same hip distance stance for the knees, same shoulder distance for the hands, fingers wide. On the inhale now, the left leg is extending back. On the out breath, bringing the knee and the nose together. Inhale, extending leg and spine. Out breath, bring the knee in. Last round, breathing in to extend. On the out breath, draw the knee in, landing or helping the foot forward. And please do the same here. Just wiggle the foot into place so the knee is over the ankle joint. Good distance here as well as hip distance apart to the back leg. Take time to breathe in and just relax your whole upper body. Then breathing out and rounding the spine up to stand upon a kneeling lunge, lifting the arms up on the inhale and finding back to cactus arms on your out breath. So please make sure shoulders are soft. We're making light fists on the in-breath. And we're opening the fists as we breathe out and turning towards the leg in front. On the inhale, soft fists for the cactus. On the exhale, spreading the fingers and a twist. Now, while we continue that for 3 more breaths, you might slowly start to extend your arms a little. Still gentle fists on the inhale. And a bit of an extension on the exhale. Last round. You might now hold here and release your front hand down onto the front knee, turning the back palm to face upward. Your arm could be at shoulder height here if the shoulder is okay, and we're holding the twist. Option to extend your back arm towards the ceiling. You could stay here, hand on knee, or you could extend your twisted kneeling lunge and touch your fingertips to the ground. Your choice. You breathe in, and on the out breath, then swinging the arm back and down, releasing your hands to the mat. This time you might tuck the back toes under, lift the knee off the mat, extending the body, and then stepping to the front as you find a standing forward bend. Uncurling the spine on your next out breath. Lifting the arms as you take a breath in, extending your body. On the exhale, draw the hands down in front of your chest. While we breathe in, it's the right knee that is lifting. On your out breath, bring the hands to the hips and step the foot back, but out to hip distance, grounding your foot. Bring a bend into the front knee here. We'll play back with our cactus arms, but there's a different movement. For the in-breath now, making soft fists again, bringing cactus arms out. On your elbows, roll the spine forward, tucking the backs of the hands together and rounding. While you breathe in, you might straighten the front leg, open fists, cactus arms. Then bend the front knee again, roll the shoulders forward and round your back. We'll stay with that for 3 more breaths. When you completed the 3 breaths, let your hands return lightly to the hips. Lift your torso and lean the weight a little bit forward. As you step back to the front foot, you might slide the back foot in and open your knee out for a tree shape. You might also bring the foot up or rest it to your upper inner thighs. Your choice of where you place the foot, but starting to lift by grounding more through the side of the hip. We will create some cactus arms here too, just soft fists as you breathe in. And with the out breath, slowly journeying the palms of the hands in an Anjali mudra in front of the chest. You might allow yourself to stay here. You could come back out to the cactus arms. You might extend your arms towards the ceiling. You might, if your balance is perfectly fine, lift your gaze up or explore closing your eyes. Let's lift the knee again as you breathe in, landing the foot and releasing your arms, finding back into mountain pose. We'll lift our left knee now as the weight moves to the right. Placing the hands upon the hips and extending the left foot back and out to the side as you land on the foot and bend your front knee. We'll come back to the cactus arms as you take a breath in, making soft fists and opening your arms. With the out breath, then rounding the spine, backs of the hands touching and looking down. For the next few rounds, you may straighten the front leg, cactus arms and light fists. Inhale. Exhale, bending the front knee again, rolling shoulders forward and backs of the hands are touching. Let's repeat 3 more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling to round. Just 2 more. After your last one, your out breath, let your hands come back to the side of the waist. Lengthen your spine and start to lean forward, taking the back foot with you as you slide the foot in, turning your knee out, or choosing a tree posture with the foot a bit higher. You can place it basically anywhere but against your knee. As you find a little lift here coming from the side of the hip to the crown of the head, we will return to the cactus arms with the soft fists, breathing in. On the out breath, then ever so slowly joining the palms of the hands in Anjali mudra. Your choice is there to hold here or extend the arms, maybe lifting the gaze, maybe closing the eyes. Lifting your left knee again, landing the foot to the ground and releasing the arms, returning into the mountain. Deep, slow breath in and out. I suggest to face the long side of the mat now and to step the feet further apart. Turning your right toes towards the short edge of the mat. The left heel towards the other short edge, but only slightly. Bringing a bend into the front knee. Placing the knee once more over your ankle joint. This is not a steady hold in this case here, so maybe the stance is like mine, quite reasonable. We will lift both arms up for warrior two, breathing in. And then bringing the back arm forward, breathing out. If you now notice there's a nasty pull here in the back, just bring the heel a little bit further to the other side of your mat. Flexing now your right wrists and placing whatever it is that you would like to have about self-love in front of your right hand. Folding the last two fingers in of the left hand, pointing your thumb up. We're starting to aim as we pull back on our bow, bending into the knee, keeping a gaze at our goal, and with the out breath, releasing towards it. Now we will pull back, breathing in. Two more. Lifting both arms, extending both legs, and releasing the arms down as you breathe out. Shuffling your feet around, so now the left toes will point to the short edge. The right heel a little to the back edge. And then bending into the front knee. And again, you now know why we stay within reason, so we've got enough space to move. As you lift your arms back out, front and back, warrior two. Swinging as you breathe in the arm from the back to the front. And the same here, have a little feel here. Feels compressed, it usually is. Just turn the foot a little bit further in, accommodating for that. As you now flex your left wrist, put the very same goal about self-love in front of your hand. Fold the last two fingers of the right hand in. And while you might straighten the leg, pull the elbow back, breathing in. Bend the knee and arm forward. Let's continue that breathing in to aim and 3 more. Lifting the arms as you breathe in and releasing the hands down towards the mat. And you can do this kneeling just like I am, or you can do this stepping back into a downward facing dog. On your in-breath now, let's roll the spine forward, creating a wave, and we will join in together into a plank or a kneeling plank. For the out breath, keeping elbows close and lowering back down onto the front of the body. Once more, a wide-armed cobra. So fingertips down, wider than the mat, hands looking like cups. Pressing the tops of the feet into the ground unless there's lower back pain. Then lift the feet. On the inhale, waving up, relaxing the shoulders, lifting actively from the heart. The fingers just a gentle little notch upwards to lift the heart further. Grounding through the tops of the feet or raising the feet if that suits your lower back more. Stay for 2 more breaths. Then on the following out breath, release your upper body. Bring the hands by the sides of your ribs And take an inhale to come onto hands and knees. Now this is for everybody. Ask you to step the knees a little bit forward, rounding your spine, taking your buttocks to the heels and curling yourself into a child's pose. If you like to rest the head to the floor, that's definitely an option. After the forward fold here, and maybe a feeling of lengthening coming through the back body. You can relax your arms all the way if that feels good. And maybe coming back to the deep breath, as we often lose this deep way of breathing throughout the class. You might think back about your hands resting around your lower belly and breathing into that area all around. Then move the breath to the lower ribs and then into your upper back. Last breath like that. And then on the exhalation, uncurling your spine. If you have trouble sitting on your knees, just simply sit over to the side straight away and extending your legs out long. Now, for our seated forward bend, I would even suggest, if you have a bolster, to place that underneath your knees and design the forward bend more in a slightly restorative version. So I do have a bolster here, but if you don't and you would like to roll up a blanket, that's also an option. Now, if you think you don't need any support, you would probably benefit from it, but it's not essential. So you might lightly engage in a gentle flexion of the feet if you are using a bolster, in a stronger flexion of the feet if you are practicing without support underneath your knees. Now I've also rolled up the end of my mat and given my hips a light notch forward. So if you are practicing without a support on your knees, strong flexion of the feet. We will all sit upward and tall, breathing in. All knees are bent at this point. And with the out breath, you can sway a little forward, even take the lift of the sitting bones here and there, and then find your way forward over your extended legs or slightly bent. As you might choose to lower the head, please don't let the head drop. Rather let the upper body drop so that the belly might rest over your thighs. You can get more comfortable here over time if the body is supported, but I suggest to keep reaching the spine forward on the in-breath if there's no support under the knees, and that could be just a rolled up blanket or cushion. Let yourself sink into this forward bend, doing nothing much, but just being here and breathing and experiencing the sensations that you might have within your body. We will stay for another 2 slow breaths. Now, after you've completed those 2 breaths, you might slide your hands up the legs on the mat to rise to a seated position. Now, while we come to our backs, if you do have something underneath the knees, you could actually leave that there. I will also place something underneath my head and then slowly reclining. So once I'm lying back, your cushioning could be a little bit thinner than mine. Your feet down at hip distance. I've got the bolster there, but I'm not using it at this point. bringing the right knee back into the chest, give it a little squeeze. And then turn the knee open, almost like in a tree shape, and place your ankle to your left thigh, flexing the foot, just encouraging this knee to be open. Now you've got various options here. If you've got a cushioning there, you might just simply step the left foot up. That's creating a stretch, but quite passive, and you might choose to rest here. Or you can bring your right arm through between the legs and hug both legs into figure 4. You might even extend your left foot to the ceiling. Right elbow could encourage the right knee outward, but more important, maintaining a flexion in the right ankle. If you feel you need to lean a little bit to one or the other side to really get the stretch that you might require here, please don't hold back. We will release that by gently placing the left foot back down and then the right. Now lifting your left foot up and placing the left ankle to the right thigh, creating the flexion there in the ankle joint. Your choice to stay here, to place your right foot up onto a support and approach it in a more passive form, or to reach your left arm through between the legs and pick up the right leg. Or you might even extend the right leg toward the ceiling. Left elbow might encourage the knee outwards. And the same here, you might lean ever so slightly to one side, finding a more suitable part to stretch out. We will slowly release by bending the knee, landing the foot down, landing the other foot down. If you like, you could even lengthen yourself out fully as you take a deep breath, maybe squeeze your bottom up. And if you feel ready to, you can drop now straight into a Shavasana. If there's no support underneath the knees, that's okay, as long as you're comfortable. If you're not, choosing to bend the knees and let the knees fall back in towards each other instead. As you find your comfortable lying down position, you might choose to close your eyes. Tuning back in with the body as it lands again on the mat, but maybe now more prepared. The body resting in this way. Letting your breath drop into its very natural rhythm. As you detach your mind from the physical body, you might turn the awareness back to self-love. The ability to have experiences which don't quite work out is the beauty of life. It provides us with experiences that challenge our beliefs and our trust. Yet, following each of these times, we can look back and explore what we learned from the experience and celebrate the courage and wisdom gained by our ability to survive and grow. You may be feeling a little battle weary. The constant demands on you to be the truth maker is beginning to leave scars on your emotional body. You're standing in the middle of a war, attempting to deflect the blows and lessen the damage from everyone else's battles. Take time out and find some quiet time to reassess this situation. You need to find your own self-love and look within to determine if being the referee is really your role. Find time to explore the damage this role creates on all the different levels of your being. When you reassess this situation, you will find the courage to walk away and leave the varying parties to finish the battle on their own. Time to look after you. Time to find peace. It's there. You just need to care enough for yourself to want it. Allow yourself to reflect on how much you want self-love. No matter any doubts or thoughts in your mind, bring your awareness down into heart center. As you focus on this center, feel a sense of coming home, of being safe, to trust, to love yourself just as you are. And once created that energy within your heart, let it spread throughout your whole being. Completely at ease, embracing yourself. Allowing your breath to gently deepen now, bringing movement back to the body. Even stretches are fine. And when you're ready, you might choose to roll over onto your side and join me there in a seated position. You could allow your eyes to close, or you might look down to the floor just down in front of you. With your next inhalation, make your soft fists and open the cactus arms, exposing your heart. And as you breathe out, sealing the palms of your hands in front of the heart, touching the thumbs to this beautiful space. We will complete this practice with one chant of Om, followed by 3 shantis for peace. Let's breathe in together. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Gently from our hearts, we bow to extend to each other. Namaste.